Now, second quote which should be there in your notes, which is very important from exam point of view, is all that is Platonic is Socratic. Because he said that knowledge of idea is superior to knowledge of matter. So Socrates has an influence. Those ideas, don't answer. Those ideas which he has not borrowed from anyone. Rule of philosopher king. So his idea of rule of philosopher king and his theory of communism are seen as the original ideas of Plato. So all that is Platonic is not Socratic. Important for exam is theory of philosopher king नहीं आएगा. इसका criticism आएगा. Who has criticized the theory of philosopher king of Plato? Family is an institution of altruism. That in the family we only concerned about the well-being of each other. Now who is critic of this particular aspect? Radical feminists, and they want personal is political. That first exploitation do takes place within the family and state should be allowed to interfere within the family. I hope all of you are aware of this. Explain Aristotle's critique of Plato's idealism. Again 15 में आया था, again 24 में after. So basically it should be not 6-7, it should be 10 year, last 5-7 year paper because the trend has drastically changed. ठीक है ना, after 15. For Aristotle, we cannot ignore the physical world, just considering it as the world of illusion. So अगर ये line है, if you have this line, good in your notes. If you do not have this line, you can write. For Aristotle, we cannot ignore the physical world. For Plato, we can ignore the physical world. Yes, this is not real. But for Aristotle, we cannot ignore the physical world, just considering it as the world of illusions. All of you. Online students, I am audible. So, I hope you have, many of you attended the first lecture and others have watched the recorded one. So, you are done with, you have revised Plato, Aristotle, Machiavelli, Hobbes. चारों रिवाइज कर लिए? कर लिया रिवाइज? So, now I'll tell you that whether, I hope you have prepared your notes also. So we'll discuss that you need to cover these themes in your notes. Okay, from the exam point of view, these topics should be there in your notes. So those who have not prepared, after today's lecture, you can prepare your notes accordingly, right? Then you have to upload those notes on the drive which I shared. The team will analyze that whether you are making your notes from the exam point of view or not, and then they will give you the feedback that you need to add these things if something is missing from those notes. Okay, and we'll take few PYQs that how you need to frame your answers, okay, from exam point of view. So first thing first, what should be there in your notes is that in PSIR, in optional, we categorize philosophers as idealist and materialist. Idealist and materialist. So, according to idealist, what is real? Idea. For idealist, which world is the real world? World of? According to idealist, which world is the real world? World of? Word of God. Okay, and God is an idea. Okay, so for idealist, the real world is world of God, and God is an idea. So you need to know the difference between idealist and materialist. For idealist, materialists are spreading false consciousness. And for a materialist, for idealist, materialists are spreading what? It is for materialists that idealists are spreading false consciousness. For idealist, materialists are under ignorance. Okay, na? So for idealist, materialists are under ignorance, and for materialist, the idealists are spreading false consciousness. Socrates, Plato, we categorize them under which category? Idealist. Okay. So when we categorize matter is real, then it is materialist. And when we say idea is real, then it is idealist. We do categorize idealist versus realist. When we differentiate philosophers and scholars in terms of ethics in politics, those who believe that we need to pursue ethics in politics, they are idealist. Those who keep ethics and politics separate, they are realist. Who is father of realism? Machiavelli. ठीक है. तो आपने नोट्स में पहले ये कैटेगरी है, so you should have this thing in your notes, the clear differentiation or segregation between idealist realist and idealist materialist. ठीक है. Now theory of knowledge is given by who has given the theory of knowledge? Socrates, and this makes Socrates father of philosophy. ठीक. So who is father of philosophy? Socrates. Who is father of political philosophy? Plato, because he has given first political idea. मैंने लास्ट क्लास में आपको डिफरेंस बताया था बिटवीन फिलोसफी, आइडियोलॉजी एंड थ्योरी. फिलोसफी इज एन आइडिया. ठीक. Philosophy is an idea. So Plato gave which political idea? Plato gave which political idea? Idea of ideal state. ठीक है. So first person to talk about the idea of ideal state was Plato. This makes Plato the father of political philosophy. ठीक. And Socrates was the first person who said knowledge of idea is superior to knowledge of matter. And this makes Socrates father of philosophy. So he has given the theory of knowledge. So one thing which should be there in your notes is Socrates' theory of knowledge, in which he said knowledge of idea is superior to knowledge of matter. So according to Socrates, knowledge is of how many types? According to Socrates, knowledge is of how many types? Two types. One is opinion and belief, and other is conceptual knowledge. ठीक. So how to know the conceptual knowledge or the true knowledge according to Socrates? Through dialectics. So what is the method recommended by Socrates to acquire true knowledge? Is dialectics. Dialectics with whom? Soul. ठीक है ना. So where lies true knowledge? Inside soul, and soul is an idea. This makes Socrates idealist. Those who believe idea is real. So for Socrates, the source of true knowledge is inside. It is with soul, and to learn true knowledge, you need to do dialectic. Dialectic is logical reasoning, debates and discussion with your soul. ठीक. Now, who used this? Where Plato has used this theory of knowledge of Socrates? Where Plato has used the theory of knowledge of Socrates? Theory of forms or theory of idea, where Plato said reality is the shadow of idea. So in this quote, reality is the shadow of idea, there is a reflection of Socrates' theory of knowledge. Okay. Reality is the shadow of idea. Important quote. Last year also this was there in the exam. Reality is the shadow of idea. So this quote, reality is the shadow of idea of Plato, is there in which theory of Plato? in his theory of ideas. So Plato's theory of idea or Plato's theory of forms, under this theory he has given this quote, reality is the shadow of idea. So for Plato, what you are seeing is not real. What you are seeing is not real. Real is idea. And to understand idea, you need to do dialectics with soul. I hope it is clear to all of you. He has explained this with the allegory of caves. Those who are in caves, what they are seeing is not real. Real is something else. Okay? So everyone is clear with this quote. Reality is the shadow of idea. Right? What if I'll ask what is the purpose? What was the purpose for which Plato has given his theory of idea? What is the purpose behind his theory of idea? What was the purpose of his theory of idea? To make Athens the ideal state, to tell the ruling class the meaning of true happiness. Through his theory of idea, he wants to establish that what you think is real is not real because the ruling class was corrupt. And he wanted to show that materialism, if you are running towards money and power, you are under ignorance. You are under ignorance because idealists believe materialists are under ignorance. So the purpose of his theory of idea is to convey this thing to the ruling class that you are under ignorance. And his purpose was to establish an ideal state. And his purpose was to tell the ruling class the meaning of true happiness. So do write the purpose of the theory of idea. What was the purpose? ठीक? तो theory of idea रटना नहीं है, उसका purpose समझना. So this was the purpose. ठीक? We have discussed this thing in the class in detail, but those who have not done the foundation with me, this is the question to them. Is there any relevance of Plato's writing in the present times or in the present context? Wait, Niti, anywhere Plato's writings has any relevance in the present context? No, you have no idea.
Corruption and running behind money and power is relevant today.
Today corruption is the biggest threat for the state. Corruption is the biggest threat for the state, for the country also. And he said way back, what is the main reason for the downfall of Athens? Corruption. Anywhere else, any other suggestion of Plato which reflects that his ideas were way beyond his time. And it is very clear due to which there was a downfall, due to which, or this thing, something which he learned from Sparta, and he realized this became the reason for the downfall of Athens. Education in the hands of private, and he said that the state should take care of what? Education, because private, who were the private teachers? Who were sophists. So difference between sophist versus Socrates. ठीक? Sophists were materialist and Socrates are idealist. ठीक? So first is his theory of idea. Reality is the shadow of idea, and the purpose of his theory of idea. So purpose is more important, and I hope all of you are clear with the purpose of his theory. His purpose was to make Athens an ideal state and to tell the ruling class the meaning of true happiness. Okay? Good. Now, second quote which should be there in your notes, which is very important from exam point of view, is all that is Platonic is Socratic. All that is Platonic is Socratic. Is it right to say all that is Platonic is Socratic? Hmm? Niti, who all has influenced the writings of Plato? He has, he has what he has taken from Socrates, his theory of knowledge. Because he said that knowledge of idea is superior to knowledge of matter. So Socrates has an influence. Okay. Any other thing of Socrates which has influenced the writings of Plato? Very good. Hatred for democracy, because he considered Socrates as the most wisest man, which has been killed by fools. Thick. So his hatred for democracy and the theory of knowledge of Socrates has influenced the writings of Plato. So first personality who has influenced Plato is Socrates. But there are other personalities also who has influenced the writings of Plato. Who are they? Pythagoras, Heraclitus, Parmenides. So these are also the people who has influenced Plato, and that is why we say that all that is Platonic is not Socrates; it is beyond Socrates. Is there are any ideas which do not answer, Diksha? Is there are any ideas which we only associate with Plato? Those ideas don't answer. Those ideas which he has not borrowed from anyone. Very good. His theory of communism. Any other idea? Rule of philosopher king. So his idea of rule of philosopher king and his theory of communism are seen as the original ideas of Plato. So all that is Platonic is not Socratic. ठीक है ना? तो ये पॉइंट्स आपके नोट्स में होने चाहिए. ठीक है? A note on his theory of philosopher king. Note on his theory of philosopher king. So according to Plato, who is eligible to become philosopher? But that is fine. But how will say who should become the philosopher king? Man of knowledge, one who has true knowledge, one who understands reality is the shadow of ideas. Who can have such kind of knowledge? One who can do dialectics with soul. Take one who can do dialectic. Who can do this? Man of reason, because we are born with these. Every soul is different. So first thing, is Plato believe in natural equality or inequality? He believes in natural inequality. Not all are equal. He believes in natural inequality. Not all are equal. Does Aristotle believes in equality? Right? No, he says there are two types of people, masters and slaves. So the concept of equality has evolved from when? So, concept of equality has evolved from when? कब से आया इक्वालिटी का कॉन्सेप्ट? इक्वालिटी इज अ कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ मॉडर्न टाइम्स. ठीक है ना? Machiavelli said what? Anyone can become, any enterprising person can become prince. And then Hobbes said all are born with passion. All men are equal and all are born with passion. So the concept of equality evolved in modern times. Which philosopher is known as the modern philosopher? Nahi, Machiavelli is the child of Renaissance. He is a transitional thinker. Who is known as the first modern thinker? Hobbes. Why Hobbes is known as the first modern thinker? Because of his theory of sovereignty. He clearly established where sovereignty lies. Because of his theory of sovereignty, which is the most important element of state. State has different elements. And the most important element of state is sovereignty. Because Hobbes has given the theory of sovereignty, this establishes him as the first modern political thinker. Okay? Now, his theory of philosopher king. So, who can be a philosopher? One who has a soul of reason. ठीक है? In which reason dominates. So, his theory of philosopher king and his theory of soul are linked to each other. He said people born with different souls. Every soul has three elements. Okay, those who have three elements are reason, courage, and appetite. In which reason dominates. They can do dialectics and they can acquire true knowledge. And they can understand reality is the shadow of idea. And they are eligible to become philosopher. ठीक. Important for exam is theory of philosopher king नहीं आएगी. इसका criticism आएगा. Who has criticized the theory of philosopher king of Plato? Aristotle is the critic of the theory of philosopher king because Aristotle is a supporter of polity. He is a supporter of polity, and he has given this kind of governance in his which theory? Theory of constitution. Okay, very good. Now, which is the quote given by Plato in support of his theory of philosopher king? And this quote you need to have because short note on this quote will come in the exam. Which is the quote he has given in support of his theory of philosopher king? No law or ordinance is mightier than knowledge. No law or ordinance is mightier than knowledge. So he has not supported rule of law, he has supported the rule of knowledge. One who has the real knowledge. The forefathers of the framers of our constitution trusted in rule of law, rule of knowledge, rule of law. Okay? Not rule of knowledge. And who has criticized theory of philosopher king? Aristotle. With which quote? Law is reason without passion. This is the quote given by Aristotle. Law is reason without passion. This theory of philosopher king is criticized by Aristotle by saying this: law is reason without passion. And another quote, authority of statesman is different from father. ये भी quote आपके पास होना चाहिए. Authority of statesman is different from father. These both quotes of Aristotle are to criticize the theory of philosopher king of Plato, where Aristotle is criticizing the quote of Plato that no law or ordinance is mightier than knowledge. When he is saying authority of statesman is different from father, what Aristotle wants to say with this particular quote, that within the family, whose authority is supreme? Father. But within the state, within a political entity, one person cannot have complete authority. So, for it is Aristotle who has tried to separate public sphere from private sphere, that within the family, father's authority is supreme. Now, who is critic of this? So, basically, Aristotle is projecting that family is the institution of altruism. Family is an institution of altruism. That in the family we only concerned about the well-being of each other. Now, who is critic of this particular aspect? radical feminist, and they want personal is political. That first exploitation do takes place within the family, and state should be allowed to interfere within the family. I hope all of you are aware of this. ठीक? So authority of statesman is different from father is very important quote in context of the criticism of the theory of philosopher king of Plato. ठीक? All of you are in the mentorship group. So I'm sharing a PDF for the previous year questions in that. So then the theory of soul, even if it will come easily, you can write his theory of soul. So who believes in soul? Idealist. Until unless you, if you are not idealist, you will deny the concept of soul because you can't see it's just an idea. So to believe in soul, to trust soul, you have to be idealist. Okay. So based on his theory of soul, theory of philosopher king, theory of idea, he wants to create a just state. Now come his theory of justice. What is the central idea of Plato's republic? Justice. Ideal state or just state? One and the same thing. Idea of justice can change in time and space. This becomes political thought. Plato's idea of justice is different from Aristotle's idea of justice, which is different from Marxist idea of justice, which is different from liberal idea of justice, which is different from liberal egalitarian's idea of justice. ठीक, एक बार जल्दी से करते हैं. So Plato's idea of justice. What is for Aristotle? Dividing a society based based on masters and slaves is a just state. But for Plato, a just state is one where society is divided based on the element of soul. Right? Soul is idea we can't see. Can we see the element of soul? No. So Who will have reason according to him? Who can continue their education for 50 years according to Plato, right? For Aristotle, who are masters? Those who have, how? Those who have property. Now, property is materialism or not? So, to give his idea, he is looking into matter. And that is why in the last class also I told you Aristotle is pragmatic, both idealist and materialist. तो ये बात अभी हम और आगे करेंगे. So for Plato, just it is one where society is divided based on the element of soul. ठीक? Those who have reason, they should be rulers. Those who have courage, they should be soldiers. And those who have appetite, they should be producers. Such society is a just society. Every individual doing work based on the element of soul. ठीक? ठीक? And if individual will defy the state, according to Plato, right? If individual defies the state, why individual should not defy the state according to Plato? Why individual should not defy the state according to Plato? Both are different. Your soul will not be satisfied. Socrates was well aware that his position is right, but still he decided to drink hemlock, not to defy the state, because your soul will not be satisfied. Who wants to defy the state? Marxist, materialist, and for them idealist has spread false consciousness. समझ गए बात? For Hegel, state is a march of God. God cannot be everywhere. That's why state has been created. State is an idea. Have you seen state? No, the real have you ever encountered state? Government. So the real manifestation of state is government. State is an idea. Who has created this idea? Idealist. For materialist, this is false consciousness. So, your soul will not be satisfied if you defy the state. So, for idealist, justice is doing your duty. If everyone is doing the duty, then it will lead to the creation of a just state. So Plato, based on the theory of soul, is creating or dividing the society into different class. First class people are gold, then man of silver and man of copper. So division of society based on class, according to him, is a just division. Such a division will lead to the creation of just state. And just individual is one who is doing their duty based on the element of soul, and state is individual writ large. So just individuals can create just state. Just individuals can create just state. His theory of class, his theory of soul, or his concept of class is similar to our concept of varna or caste. His concept of class, that society is to be divided into classes based on the element of soul, and everyone should do their work based on the element of soul, is similar to the concept of class or caste, is varna system. Varna was based on work. It was not a rigid system which cannot be breaked. Okay. Caste is hereditary. Varna was based on worth or work. Brahmin son can be Kshatriya, Kshatriya son can be Vaishya, and Vaishya son can be Brahmin. Similarly, ruler's son, अभी communism का concept है, that will be taken by the state, can end up as a someone who is from the producing class can end up as a philosopher king, and someone from the warrior class can end up as a producer based on the element of soul. And for this, he devised the theory of education. Those who will not able to qualify the first test will become the part of producer class. Those who will not be able to qualify the second will become the part of soldier class. ठीक है ना? And we'll end up having a pool of philosophers, and one of them will become philosopher king. Recently, this phenomenon we have seen in which country? Very good. Also, other than Bangladesh, recently we have seen this phenomenon where someone was not willing to govern, but out of compulsion, as a duty towards the state, agreed. नेपाल, ठीक है ना? तो वहां पे वो नहीं हुआ आपस में उनमें, there was no power rivalry. One agreed to take the role of leading the government till the time transition did not take place. Reluctant to govern. So who will criticize? So he's saying which states are best governed where rulers are reluctant to govern. Who will criticize this? Aristotle. Okay. So what is Plato's idea of justice? Compile it. What is Plato's idea of justice? Justice is a duty, and justice is functional specialization and non-interference in each other's task. Will lead to the creation of just state. This is his idea of justice. Okay? Who can create just state? Just soul. Which one is just soul? In which reason dominates. So the soul in which reason dominates, if govern the state, will lead to the creation of just state, and society is to be divided based on the element of soul. अब ये सब क्या है? Can we see soul? No. Can we see the elements of soul? All are ideas. That's why they are idealist, and materialists criticize. They are spreading false consciousness. Because Marx will recommend what? Revolt state. State is an institution of exploitation. It's an instrument of bourgeois class, created by whom? Capitalists. ठीक है ना? For their interest. So you revolt and do not believe in God. God is an idea created by capitalist intellectuals who have spread false consciousness. समझ में आई बात? Plato's theory of education. Objective is to find philosopher king. ठीक? So he has borrowed few things from Sparta in his theory of education, that education should be in the hand of state. Okay. It should not be in the hand of the private class. His theory of communism. ठीक? What is the meaning of the word? What is the meaning of this concept, communism? Common ownership. ठीक है ना? No private property but common ownership. ठीक? So Plato has proposed communism of which two things? Family and property. No private property, no private family. ठीक? And no private property and family for which class? Guardian class. ठीक है ना? Why not for the producing class? Because they are man of appetite. ठीक है ना? वो कर ही नहीं सकते, और वैसे भी उनके हाथ में पावर नहीं है. ठीक? It is only for the guardian class. ठीक? Short note that there are different stages. How many stages he has recommended? Okay. What was the purpose of his theory? Purpose करना है. Theories के purpose important है. So theory जितना आप purpose से समझोगे उतना आपके दिमाग में ज्यादा रहेगा. Purpose of his theory of education. What is the purpose of his theory of education? To find philosopher king. ठीक? थीम ऑफ एजुकेशन एग्जाम में नहीं आएगा, पर्पस आएगा. In your notes, do you know the difference between Plato's communism and Marxist communism? Is it there in your notes? ठीक है, Plato's communism and Marxist communism. On so many have equated if we have to differentiate between Marx and Plato, what points we can write to differentiate between Plato and Marx? Because both has given the idea of communism, and many has traced the idea of communism in the work of Plato, but we do say that similarities are just superficial. What are the differences between Plato and Marx? Very good. Marx wanted a classless society and a state-less society. Very good. While Plato wants to divide the society into 3 classes. Very good. और कुछ? Repeat. According to Marx, society is divided into classes based on economy. Those who are owners, they are haves and have-nots. ठीक है ना? Then Marx is materialist, Plato is idealist. ठीक. Peaceful and violent methods. ठीक है ना? Very good. So Marx has recommended violent methods for stateless society. Plato is recommending education. He has given a theory of education to create ideal state. ठीक. One more thing. Plato's communism was for whom? Guardian class. Marxist communism was for entire society. No one is allowed to have private property. ठीक है ना? ये point. अरे Marxist communism is for all. Plato's communism is only for the guardian class. है ना? Marx didn't talk about the communism of family. Yes. This is also very different. मैं कुछ बताने वाला था. भूल गया क्या था. So Plato as first fascist. Plato as father of totalitarianism. In the last class, I told you the difference between a totalitarian state and an authoritarian state. Which kind of state Plato is creating? Authoritarian or totalitarian? How you can say that? Where? Private sphere? Communism of family. ठीक है ना? We can say he wants to get a eugenic class. ठीक? So he is creating a totalitarian state. Hobbes is creating which kind of state? Absolute state. More of authoritarian state, not a totalitarian monster. But Plato is creating a totalitarian state. He is known as the father of totalitarianism. मैंने आपको वो क्वाड्रेंट भी बताया होगा. बहुत सारे हैं जिन्होंने. So last class I told you about the quadrant being progressive, conservative, radical. पारुल तो ये तो कई बार बताया. अच्छा लास्ट क्लास में नहीं बताया. देखो याद रखना. In general, when you are framing your answers, ठीक? Your conclusions should reflect your optimism. Like if I ask, Is UN a redundant body? Yes, very good. And India is looking for permanent membership. ठीक है ना? Is it possible to have nuke free world?
Yes.
And you as a diplomat going to attend a summit for nuke free world with a conviction it is not possible, right? Can you afford to say like this? It is not possible to have nuke free world. No. Even Amit Shah is saying will make India Naxal free by. ठीक है ना? And if you would have asked when I was preparing, we used to think it is not possible to end Naxalism, left wing extremism in India, right? So we'll be able to make our electoral politics caste free. यही difference है ना? So UN is not redundant. UN is relevant or irrelevant? Relevant. And need is to make it more relevant. How will make it more relevant? And which reforms? Sir, give us permanent membership. By giving India the permanent membership, will make it more relevant. How you will make? Is bureaucracy relevant or irrelevant? Very relevant. How you will make it more relevant? So by becoming IAS. ठीक है. So this is what we say personality aspect, and this is what your interview is all about. UPSC interview revolves around this quadrant only. So when we say they will going to check your personality, basically this your interview UPSC interview revolves around this particular quadrant only. So two types of personalities we are: satisfied, dissatisfied. If you have lived a very hopeless life where you have seen nothing is going in your way, what kind of personality you will become? Totally dissatisfied. If everything is going on in your favor, हाथ लगाओ सोना, what kind of person you will become? Very satisfied with everything. ठीक है ना? Whatever you have done and you have attained success in that, what you will be? Optimist. आपका ऑप्टिमिज्म चांद पे जाने वाला हूं सर थोड़े दिन में. ठीक है ना? जो आप कर रहे हो वो सक्सेस ही मिल रही है, आपने फेलियर देखा ही नहीं, आपने जो किया फेलियर ही मिला, तो आप कैसे हो जाओगे? पेसिमिस्ट. व्हाट काइंड ऑफ people we want in bureaucracy? Pessimist, optimist. So nuke free world not possible. So UN is irrelevant. India will never become $5 trillion economy. So corruption will never be curbed. Caste based politics will remain. Terrorism cannot be resolved. Kashmir cannot be resolved. ठीक? Pakistan will always be returned. Can you afford to speak like this? आप कैसी बातें करोगे? Possible. And who will make it possible? You guys will make it possible. Youth is always what? Energetic, optimist. Old age कैसी होती है? कुछ नहीं हो सकता. अब आप अभी से ऐसे कहने लगे कुछ नहीं हो सकता सर दुनिया का, फिर कैसे चलेगा काम? आपको कुछ करना है तभी तो कर रहे हो ना, या पहले ही माने बैठे हो कुछ नहीं हो सकता सर, इसको बना दो, राहुल गांधी को प्राइम मिनिस्टर बना दो, क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है सर, है ना? So this is sheer pessimism about life. Okay, no hope for the future. ऐसा होगा 25-30 साल बाद, ठीक है, when you will realize कुछ नहीं हो सकता. बट अभी तो आपसे हम क्या एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं? ऑप्टिमिज्म. सर सब बदल देंगे. ठीक है. Satisfied optimists are progressive people. They are progressive. We say progressive individual, progressive personality. Satisfied pessimists are conservatives. जो satisfied हैं चीजों से और फ्यूचर को लेके कोई होप नहीं है. ठीक है. जैसे बहुत सारे होंगे ड्यूरिंग द टाइम ब्रिटिश वाज हियर, many was satisfied with the British rule or not, and they think independence नहीं आ सकती कभी. वो किस कैटेगरी में आएंगे? Conservatives. We do meet conservatives who do not want any change in the value system of the society. We categorize them as what? Conservatives. ठीक है ना? They are against, let's say, against any change. इन्हें change पसंद नहीं होता. जो change के लिए ready होते हैं उन्हें क्या कहते हैं? Progressive. ठीक. You are dissatisfied with the things and you are optimist. What kind of individual you are? Radical you are. So your answers in your mains should reflect your progressive or radical also you are accepted. You can be are you satisfied with UN? No. We are free to be dissatisfied even when we write critically analyze. So UPSC itself is asking you to critically analyze means right dissatisfaction. These are the grounds on which we are not satisfied with UN. Hegemony of P5. Fail to respect or protect the sovereignty and integrity. Fail to resolve issues like Palestine and Kashmir. Fail to curb nuclear proliferation. But despite this, we need UN and we need more UN than less UN, as said by Ban Ki-moon. and this is why we need UN. So what we are writing, dissatisfaction but suggestions, ठीक है, and who will make it more relevant? We, give us permanent membership. Who will make bureaucracy relevant? You, by not doing corruption, ठीक. Dissatisfied optimists are radical. तो यूथ कैसा होता है? प्रोग्रेसिव रेडिकल. फ्रीडम फाइटर्स, रेवोल्यूशनरीज कैसे थे? रेडिकल्स थे. रेवोल्यूशंस आर led by radicals. What do you think? What kind of personality Plato is? इसे लिंक करते हैं. अब आपको सदा के लिए प्लेटो याद रहेगा. आ गया समझ में? कैसे लग रहा है प्लेटो रेडिकल? डिससेटिस्फाइड है डेमोक्रेसी से, बट सजेशन दे रहा है किसकी? फिलोसोफर किंग की. अगर वो कहता है डेमोक्रेसी से डिससेटिस्फाइड हूं और मुझे नहीं पता करना क्या है, तो वो कैसा होता? डिससेटिस्फाइड पेसिमिस्ट होता. सर नक्सलिज्म रिजॉल्व हो नहीं सकता और मुझे तंग करो मत, मेरे को घर में रहने दो. तो आप कैसे हो? डिससेटिस्फाइड पेसिमिस्ट. समझ गए? सो प्लेटो इज रेडिकल because he is going to overall, he is suggesting ideas for the complete change in the society through his idea of philosopher king, through his theory of education, where education was in the hand of private, now he is saying it should be in the hand of state, through his theory of communism, which was a radical idea of that time or not? Yes, so he is radical. और एरिस्टोटल कैसा है? कैसे? Slavery, which was prevalent, so he is conservative. He is not challenging the value system of the society. तो एरिस्टोटल कैसा है? कंजर्वेटिव. और प्लेटो कैसा है? रेडिकल. He is not satisfied, but he is recommending changes. ये कौन होते हैं? तो गलती से भी आपको इंटरव्यू में इस क्वाड्रेंट में नहीं आना, ठीक है? जो बहुत लोग आके हैं सर 70 नंबर दिए, अरे आप बातें ही ऐसी करके आए थे. इंटरव्यू 15 मिनट में खत्म हुआ या 25 मिनट में, ये मैटर नहीं करता, ठीक है? तो कभी भी पैनल को जज नहीं करना होता, वो बताऊंगा बाद में. यू शुड नॉट जज द पैनल सिटिंग देयर. यार अच्छा नहीं सोच रहे मेरे बारे में, कैसे कैसे क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हैं. अरे दे आर लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू फाइंड व्हाट काइंड ऑफ पर्सनैलिटी यू आर. सो डिससैटिस्फाइड पेसिमिस्ट आर regressive being, regressive होते हैं. And for these people only Prime Minister Modi used the word in the parliament what? आंदोलन जीवी. ये सिर्फ आंदोलन करते हैं. आप फार्म लॉ लेके आओ, ये आंदोलन करेंगे. आप ना लेके आओ तो भी आंदोलन करेंगे. आप कुछ एग्रीकल्चर रिफॉर्म्स नहीं कर रहे, you do, then they will criticize. You dare why you have done and why not you have done, they will always criticize you. So when in a bureaucracy you will try to bring the change, as a progressive officer you will find regressive coming in front of your office and doing protest. They do the politics of protest. In general leftists are regressive. वो खुद कुछ करेंगे भी नहीं और करने भी नहीं देंगे. The moment you will say okay you take the charge and bring the change, they will run away. And that is why right believes wherever left has come to power, nothing is left for the people. ठीक है? तो समझ गए बात? ये रिग्रेसिव होते हैं. You can't afford to give your answers like this in your interview. You as a common citizen you can hold a regressive personality, but not as a bureaucrat. कि आप dissatisfied भी हो दबा के और pessimist भी हो, होगा भी कुछ नहीं सर. क्राइम कम होगा आपके डिस्ट्रिक्ट में? करोगे ना? लॉ एंड ऑर्डर मेंटेन कर पाओगे? हाँ कर पाएंगे सर, क्यों नहीं कर पाएंगे? नहीं सर ये तो हमारे से नहीं होगा, ठीक, फिर नहीं, राइट. तो अब प्लेटो कैसी पर्सनालिटी है? रेडिकल. एरिस्टोटल कैसी पर्सनालिटी है? कंजर्वेटिव. ठीक है. सो व्हाई प्लेटो इज फासिस्ट और व्हाई वी आर सेइंग ही इज अ फादर ऑफ टोटलिटेरियनिज्म? और दिस ईयर देयर वाज अ फुल फ्लेज्ड क्वेश्चन ऑन दिस. Plato as an enemy of open society, and we have a full-fledged question in this year mains, right? Who has said this quote? Plato is an enemy of open society. Karl Popper, one of the biggest critic of Plato. Which is an open society? So answer कहाँ से शुरू होगा? Plato as an enemy of open society. First you have to write what is open society. ठीक? What is open society? Where there is freedom of speech and expression. वेरी गुड, ठीक है ना. एंड व्हाट मेक्स प्लेटो फादर ऑफ टोटलिटेरियनिज्म? Dislike for democracy, rule of person over rule of law. Very good. Yes, on one side he is saying dialectics is the way to acquire true knowledge, but in the end he is ending dialectic by establishing the absolute control of. Yes, by his theory of soul he has propagated the myths of metal, ठीक है ना, which led to racial superiority, ठीक है ना. Few are born to rule while few are born to work, right? And now Marx will say who has spread false consciousness? Idealist, ठीक है ना. And that is why he said who should govern, who should rule. He has given more importance to the work of whom? Producers. So Marx has given more importance to the work of producers, while Plato has given more importance to the work of intellectuals. And for Marx, intellectuals have spread false consciousness. Whose work is more important? What do you think, intellectuals or producers? इंटेलेक्चुअल. कोविड के टाइम पे एसेंशियल सर्विस कौन सी थी? स्कूल्स बंद हो गए थे. Whose work is more important, intellectuals or producers? But in the end, who produced COVID vaccine? And who has tried to maintain this balance between this, that every work is important? Gandhi, with his concept of, what? Dignity of labor. So Gandhi has tried to maintain this balance that every work is important, and even intellectuals need to do some of the physical work so that they can appreciate the labor being involved. His concept of सर्वोदय, ठीक है. हाँ जी. बिल्कुल आएगा, आएगा. So he has criticized Plato for holicism. What is holicism? Radical change in one go. He has tried to change everything with one stroke of brush. It should be incremental. Okay, piecemeal. And the last quote which you should have in your notes is one can either be Platonic or anti Platonic, but can never be non Platonic. Okay. So, what points you need to write in this particular quote? If the quote is one can either be Platonic or non Platonic, but can never be anti Platonic. क्या आएगा इसके अंदर? First point, he is father of political philosophy. Who said Plato is philosophy and philosophy is Plato? Emerson का name आएगा, Emerson. Who said entire Western philosophy is nothing but the footnotes of Plato? Whitehead का name आएगा, ठीक है. Who has said this quote? One can either be Platonic. Karl Popper has said hate or love, but cannot be indifferent. ठीक है. So his greatness is acknowledged not by his supporters but even by his critics. So he has given the radical ideas of his times, that is the rule of philosopher king with the objective to create the ideal state. Through his theory of idea, he wanted to give this message which you know this, ठीक है ना? Purpose of his theory of idea. So these many things should be there in your notes. Let's see the previous year questions on Plato. चार्जर दे Page 8, Western political thought, Plato. तो आपके ग्रुप में है ही ना. Explain Aristotle's critique of Plato's idealism. Again 15 में आया था, again 24 में after. So basically it should be not 6-7, it should be 10-year, last 5-7 year paper, because the trend has drastically changed. ठीक है ना, after 15. So what are the themes on which question has been asked? See the themes: education, philosopher king, theory of justice. And he being fascist or enemy of open society. Yeah, so you should not spend more than this much of time on Plato.
In the first question, by tracing the evolution of Western political, so we need to mention some so factors for the modern peoples. In the first question, came the evolution. So we need to mention from the beginning till the end of the philosophers. इसी बारे में mention करते हैं.
Trace the evolution of Western thought from ancient to contemporary period. Mentioning from Plato, Aristotle, Renaissance, modern times, how this has evolved to the Marx and the Hana. So this is what you have to trace the evolution of Western thought from ancient to contemporary period. Okay. इसका मैं आपको एक अच्छा सा आंसर भी दे सकता हूँ, ट्रेस द एवोल्यूशन ऑफ वेस्टर्न थॉट फ्रॉम एंशिएंट टू कंटेम्पररी. ठीक है ना, नेक्स्ट क्लास में. Plato's communism is a supplementary machinery to give effect and reinforce that spirit which education is to create. नहीं समझ आया? हाँ, Plato's communism is a supplementary mechanism. So first way to create an ideal state is through giving power in the hands of the philosopher king who has true knowledge, having just soul. How to find such person? Through theory of education. But still, every soul has three elements. In the soul of the philosopher king, reason dominates, but still it has appetite. So to make sure that guardian class to not become corrupt, he has recommended the theory of communism. So his secondary mechanism to make sure that there should not be corruption is his theory of communism, safeguard. Yes, that guardian class is not allowed to have private property. 2015 से पहले मत लिखो, बिल्कुल भी मत लिखो. इनफैक्ट राइट Plato as an enemy of open society which has been asked in this year exam. ठीक है, वो लिखो आप, Plato as an enemy of open society. हाँ श्योर. Marxist communism. Hmm.
of WPD from ancient contemporary. उसमें हमने एक पर्टिकुलर आइडिया को पकड़ के उसका एवोल्यूशन बताना है क्योंकि WPD का evolution बड़ा हो सकता है 20 लाइक हम लोग अनादर से कवर करेंगे
देखो इसमें ना ये बहुत ओपन एंडेड है. ट्रेस द एवोल्यूशन ऑफ वेस्टर्न पॉलिटिकल थॉट. थॉट क्या होता है? सिस्टमैटिक एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑफ आइडिया इन टाइम एंड स्पेस. सो वन थिंग इज हाउ द आइडिया ऑफ स्टेट हैज इवॉल्व्ड. एक तो ये लिख सकते हैं हाउ द आइडिया ऑफ स्टेट हैज इवॉल्व्ड फ्रॉम एंशिएंट टू द मॉडर्न टाइम्स, राइट? और idea of justice has evolved because the central idea on which every philosopher has deliberated is the idea of justice. So how the idea of justice has evolved from ancient to the modern times. So इसको मेरे को थोड़ा सा मैंने देखा नहीं था. ट्रेस द एवोल्यूशन ऑफ वेस्टर्न पॉलिटिकल थॉट. इसको मुझे थोड़ा सा और सोचने दो. नेक्स्ट क्लास में इसको विल आई गिव यू द फ्रेमवर्क फॉर दिस. ठीक है? और कोई क्वेश्चन? Explain Aristotle's critique of Plato's idealism. So we consider Aristotle also as more of idealist or pragmatic. Pragmatic. It means he is both idealist and materialist. So Aristotle's critique of Plato's idealism में क्या है? He believes in ultimate knowledge. Aristotle believes in common sense. ठीक है ना? He believes in golden mean. Plato is perfectionist. Plato believes in deductive approach. He believes in inductive approach. ठीक है ना? What are the similarities between Plato and Aristotle? First thing, both believe in natural inequality. ठीक है ना? Organic theory of state. Both believe that whole is important than part. ठीक है ना? Whole is important than part. So for Plato, answer this question. For Plato, whole is important than part, and you should do your duty, and you should not challenge state. If you do so, your soul will not be satisfied. Why, according to Aristotle, you should not challenge state? वो तो प्लेटो है. Why according? Why slaves should not revolt? It is their own interest to be in the company of the master, so that they can also develop some virtue. ये बात याद रखनी है. So for them, being in the company of the good master is in their own interest, and this led to the emergence of theories like white man's burden or benevolent despotism. ठीक है? Both believe in teleology. ठीक है ना? Both believe in inequality. Both believe that state is more important than individual. ठीक है ना? State is more important than individual. Man is a social animal. So for Aristotle has given a theory of state, systematic explanation of the idea of state. Plato has not given any theory of state. Plato has given theory of idea, theory of justice. Aristotle has given a theory of state, that man by nature is a social political animal. So according to him, when we are saying both has given primacy to state over individual. Can we say Plato has given primacy to state over individual? Yes, individual should be ready to sacrifice for the state, do the duty. Take. Where Aristotle is giving primacy to state over individual. Where Aristotle is giving primacy to state over individual.
He's talking more about the duties towards the state.
Who?
As far as
नहीं 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 ध्यान से सुनो. Where he said no one can live without state. So when he's saying no one can live without state, it means he's giving more importance to state over individual. For Aristotle, who can live without state? Beast or God. ठीक है ना? So this is where it clearly reflects he is giving more importance to state over individual, because according to him no one can live without state. ठीक? Now when he is giving his theory of state, theory is systematic explanation of idea, state is an idea. So he is giving systematic explanation of his theory of state, his idea of state. When he is saying that state is prior to man, state pehle aaya, you all understand this aspect. Chronologically who came before? Man, but logically who came before? State. State is prior to man. One who can live without state is only God or beast, or man by nature is social political animal. Now he is giving his theory of state. On what basis he is giving his theory of state? On what basis he is giving his theory? On the basis of the analysis of the needs of man. That who can fulfill the needs of man? State. Ab needs kya hai? Seeing the needs na. So it is materialism na. So his idea is grounded where? In matter. Now his theory of slavery, one who have property is master, one who do not have property is slave. So his theory of slavery is grounded where? In property, matter. So all his ideas are grounded where? In matter. This makes Aristotle both idealist and materialist. When he is giving his theory of constitution, he is giving it through inductive approach by going through more than 150 constitution. So he is giving his theory by seeing into matter. This makes him idealist plus materialist, that is pragmatic. ठीक है ना? So for Aristotle, we cannot ignore the physical world, just considering it as the world of illusion. So अगर ये line है, if you have this line, good in your notes. If you do not have this line, you can write. For Aristotle, we cannot ignore the physical world. For Plato, we can ignore the physical world. Yes, this is not real. Thick. But for Aristotle, we cannot ignore the physical world, just considering it as the world of illusion. And for Aristotle, there is nothing outside this world. And idea is not independent of matter. So all ideas lies where? In matter. So all his ideas, all his explanation of ideas, that is all his theories lies where? Matter. Done. So what is the belief of idealist towards state? How they see state? How idealists see state? Hmm. For idealist, state is a source of virtue. Idealist state is a source of virtue. You can mention about Plato and Hegel. One who defies state soul will not be satisfied. For Hegel, state is a march of God, and for Aristotle, only God and beast can survive without state. It's a source of virtue. For liberals, what is state? It's a necessary evil. For liberals, it is necessary. Okay. Why it is necessary? Maintain law and order. ठीक है ना? It is necessary. Why it is evil? It curbs liberty. ठीक है ना? Necessary ensures law and order, protects property, protects life. ठीक? For anarchist, what is state? Unnecessary evil. Neither it is necessary and it is evil at the same time. Who are anarchists? Gandhi and Marx. Both are anarchists. So for anarchist, it is unnecessary evil. The path recommended by two anarchists for stateless society is different. One is through violence, other is through non-violence. And two societies, that is the Indian society and the Chinese societies, are based on the ideas of these two statesmen. Who is doing better? Which society is doing better? Chinese society or Indian society? Because these two societies are based on the ideas of these two statesmen. Indian society is doing better. In terms of political liberties. In terms of economic prosperity, who is doing better? China. Yes. So you want economic prosperity or political liberties? But more important is what? Political liberty. So अगर comparative politics में जाएं and theory and approaches, political development approach. As per political development approach, which society is doing better? India. But Marxist, leftist will say political development approach is a discourse created by whom? Western capitalists. ठीक है? करेंगे ये सारी बात को लिंक. ठीक? So for anarchists, so now that is why the idea of state is contested or disputed. In the whole subject of political science, all ideas are contested or disputed. Justice is an idea, contested. State is an idea, contested. Equality is an idea, contested. Liberty is an idea, contested. Freedom is an idea. Freedom is an idea contested. Okay. What is freedom for idealist? What is freedom for idealist? Follow state will. This is the way to attain freedom. That is, follow the commands of the state. Do your duty within the state. You are free. Do not challenge state. Follow, and this is why idealists have sown the seeds and the seeds of what? Fascism. So for idealists, what is freedom? Doing the duty towards the state. For liberals, what is freedom? Freedom to do what you want to do. Okay. Classical liberals. Freedom to do what you want to do. In fact, classical liberalism overshadowed by utilitarianism, which became Pig's philosophy because it zeroed on what? So much of acquisition of wealth. So for classical liberals, which was overshadowed by utilitarianism, who has given the philosophy of utilitarianism? Bentham. It became Pig's philosophy because it ended up becoming what? It ended up acquiring wealth. So freedom zeroed to what? Acquiring wealth. Freedom ended up what? that people have the freedom to acquire unaccounted wealth is freedom. So for classical liberal, freedom is freedom to do whatever you want to do, which zeroed or which narrowed to what? Acquisition of property. ठीक है ना? Demand क्या था? Freedom to do whatever you want to do, but it narrowed or zeroed to what? Acquisition of property. For welfare liberals, what is freedom? Capacity to do what you want to do. And who will ensure this capacity? State. So इसमें हम कह सकते हैं for utilitarianism, what is freedom? Unlimited acquisition of wealth is freedom for them. For utilitarianism. What is freedom according to Rousseau? What is freedom for Rousseau? Men can be forced to be free. Imposing general will is freedom. And that is why Rousseau became frontrunner for whom? Fascism. So men can be forced to be free. Man was noble savage, but has become depraved animal. ठीक है ना? So who can make you free? State can make you free. Man can be forced. That is imposition of general will is freedom. What is freedom for feminists? And patriarchy. Freedom from patriarchy will lead to freedom. What is freedom according to Nietzsche? अरे Nietzsche. Freedom for Nietzsche. नहीं, फ्रेडरिक Nietzsche की जगह. What is freedom for Nietzsche? The one who, Superman, very good. One who can challenge conventional morality is free. One who can challenge conventional morality is free. Who can challenge conventional morality? Superman. So only Superman can be free for Nietzsche. What is freedom according to Sartre? Existentialism. So we all are living a life of essence, not existence. And if we are living a life of essence, not existence, we are not free. So philosophy of existentialism for Sartre. So those who can live the life of existence are free. Thick Sartre. What is freedom according to Hanna? Political participation. Okay. By only participating in politics, you can be free. Thick. What is freedom according to Gandhi? Swaraj. ठीक है. And what is freedom according to Macpherson? Mains question this year. C.B. Macpherson. He has given theory of democracy. ठीक है ना? What is freedom according to Macpherson? Creative freedom. So freedom is contested or not? Where all concepts in your subject are contested, open for multiple interpretations. And Foucault will say freedom is a discourse. ठीक है ना? ये भी एक डिस्कोर्स है. क्या होती है फ्रीडम? What is freedom according to Marx? Freedom from needs. You can't be free until and unless you are not free from your needs. किसी भी तरह की नीड है तो आप फ्री नहीं हो, डिपेंडेंस है. ठीक है ना? So freedom from needs. ठीक. तो कोई फ्री है? Is anyone free in this world? नहीं है, कोई भी फ्री नहीं है. देखा? जो PSR नहीं पढ़ रहा, बिल्कुल सही डेफिनेशन है ये. जो PSR नहीं पढ़ रहा वो फ्री है. ठीक है. So power will not bring freedom. Qualifying UPSC will not bring freedom. Probably you are more free right now and your freedoms will be curtailed after qualifying UPSC, as you can see that. ठीक है ना? तो ये इवेल्युएशन था थ्योरी ऑफ स्टेट. अगर आता है you important question from exam point of view, evaluation of theory of state. So when you evaluate from multiple perspectives. So first thing for Aristotle is he is not idealist, he is pragmatic, because at the same time he is both idealist and materialist, because the source of all his ideas lies in matter. ठीक है. फिर his theory of citizenship, Aristotle की theory of citizenship. Who are eligible for citizen according to Aristotle? So he has made the criteria, that is property is the criteria to become a citizen. ठीक है ना? So he believes those who have property are men of reason. For Plato, who are men of reason? Soul, which आप देख नहीं सकते soul. तो soul क्या है? Idea. So for Plato, it is the soul, element of soul, one of the element of soul, and how to find that man of reason through education. But for Aristotle, it is simple. Just see that person has property, and those who have property, they are men of reason. ठीक है ना? So his idea lies wherein matter. ठीक है? He has not made whom eligible for being a citizen? Women, children, old people and slaves. तो ये सब किसी काम के नहीं है according to Aristotle, and that is why Aristotle will face the wrath of whom? Feminist. ठीक है ना? And this criticism will come when you will write personal is political. ठीक है ना? That it was this separation started from Aristotle. ठीक है? If you have to analyze his theory of citizenship, can we take anything of worth from his theory of citizenship? Despite it is such a narrow interpretation of citizenship, क्या? Participation. That you, it is not only about enjoying freedoms. You can't claim rights. Parallelly, you have to do duty. So he is emphasizing on duty. Plato is also emphasizing on duty. And we do have our fundamental duties in our constitution. When the Constituent Assembly, the leaders of the Constituent Assembly, they started deliberating what kind of state they wanted to create. They wanted to make India a liberal state or a socialist state. Easy question. What kind of state they aspired to create? A liberal or a socialist state? What kind of state India became in 1947, or we can say once the constitution was adopted in which year? एक second. Which year we adopted our constitution? So since the adoption of our constitution, what kind of state we are? A liberal or a socialist state? Socialist. रुक जाओ यार, मुझे पता है तुम्हें पता है, वो पूछूंगा ना जो तुम्हें नहीं पता. लिबरल कैसे सब्सटेंशिएट? Liberal state means, Niti, what is the meaning of the word liberal state? State has less rule. Which philosopher has created the liberal state first? Hobbes. Hobbes तो absolute state create कर रहा है. Locke is creating liberal state. Liberal state means limited state. याद रखना. Liberal state means limited state. State is limited because people have rights. So wherever people have rights, state is limited. Our constitution gives fundamental rights, and they are in which part of the constitution? Part 3. Union comes under which part? Part 5. State बाद में आता है, rights पहले आते हैं. And FRs are derived from natural rights. Locke believed in natural rights. He has given a theory of natural rights. He believed people were enjoying rights. Even if state has been created through contract, people have not surrendered their rights. So he is creating a liberal state by giving rights to the people. So wherever people have FRs, that state become limited. US is a liberal state. India is a liberal state. Even fundamental duties was not the part of the original constitution. Socialist states emphasize on duties and liberal states emphasize on rights. तो हमारी कैसी state थी? Liberal state with socialist objectives to achieve. And DPSPs are the socialist objectives of ours. हाँ एक और चीज, so liberal states gives right to property, ठीक है ना? And in India, right to property was a FR, which later turned into a legal right. See? Give me a minute. What is the relevance of his theory of citizenship? You said his emphasis on duty. ठीक है ना? Citizenship is not. Citizenship is also a duty. So if you want to enjoy rights, rights comes with duties. ठीक है ना? So in the contemporary times, who has taken inspiration from the theory of citizenship of Aristotle? Hannah. And Hannah, she has also emphasized a lot on people's participation in politics. And this makes Hannah the scholar of which republicanism? Civic republicanism. ठीक है. Then his theory of slavery. His theory of citizenship is linked to his theory of slavery because he has not made slaves as, for him, slaves are not eligible for citizenship. So for him, who are slaves? By nature and the prisoners of war, and his theory has focused on those who are slaves by nature. So according to him, nature has made two types of people, those who are masters and those who are slaves. So he is also dividing society into class. So this division of society in class is prevailing from ancient times, and यही हम continue करेंगे. Elitist theory of power. Power has always remained concentrated in the hands of elites. ठीक है ना? So if Plato is dividing society into class, Aristotle is also dividing society into class, and Marx's aspiration is to end this class division and to work towards classless society. ठीक? So for Aristotle, who are masters? Those who are mentally strong, and who are slaves? Those who are physically strong. So we can see that both Plato and Aristotle has decided, or for them, who should hold power? Those who have reason. So again, they are emphasizing more on which work? Intellectual work. Okay, rather than physical work. We cannot justify his theory of slavery in any way. So his idea of justice is a society based on society divided into class, that is masters and slaves. This is his idea, and his idea of justice is injustice in the present times, because no amount of justification of the institution of slavery can be justified, especially after Kant's idea of human dignity. Okay? So if Plato has recommended the communism of property, he is supporting the private property. ठीक है ना? He is a supporter of the institution of property, and for him property is a instrument of virtue. ठीक? So he is conservative. He is protecting the institution of slavery. He is protecting the system of property. So out of three systems of property, which system he has supported? Individual ownership, common use. And this system of property, which has been supported by Aristotle, comes closer to whose idea? Gandhi's idea of trusteeship, that the private players need to see themselves as trustees and they need to give back to the society. Okay? And that is why, because Gandhi has supported the institution of property, Marxist has criticized Gandhi as the scholar of bourgeois capitalist class. ठीक है ना? So if Ambedkarites has criticized Gandhi as a scholar of upper caste, Marxist has criticized Gandhi as the scholar of upper class bourgeois class. ठीक? He is also known as Aristotle is known as father of political science, and other than this, father of constitutionalism. ठीक? So constitutionalism, ism हो गया, it's an ideology. What this ideology stands for? That state is to be governed through the written set of laws. ठीक है ना? All isms are ideologies. Okay, so for him, constitutionalism, those who believe in the ideology of constitutionalism will come in conflict against whom? Religious fundamentalist, those who believe that state is to be governed through religious laws. And constitutionalism, those who believe in constitutionalism, they believe state is to be governed through written set of laws, rules and regulations. ठीक है? And he has said, which is the best form of government? Polity. So polity is the best practicable form of government. For him, which is the worst form of government? Tyranny. Which is the best form of government for him? Monarchy, which is not achievable. So he is compromising for second best. Okay. Plato's best for him is unachievable, and this reflects his golden mean. ठीक है ना? So he has looked towards best practicable. He also believed best is monarchy, but the real form of monarchy is tyranny, which is worst. ठीक? So what is his idea of justice? Aristotle's idea of justice? Hmm? Equals to be treated equally and equals to be treated equally, and equals and unequals should not be treated equally. So for Aristotle, it is unjust to treat equals unequally, and it is equally unjust to treat unequals equally. So basically, his idea of justice is the justification of his theory of slavery, and he do not want masters and slaves to be treated equally. His idea of justice is seen as injustice in the present time. ठीक है ना? His idea of justice is injustice in the present times. And I hope you remember the comparison we made his with his idea of justice with the idea which prevails in Indian Constitution, that is Article 14 of the Indian Constitution. What it says, likes to be treated alike, but nowhere it stops the state to make affirmative action in favor of the weaker sections. ठीक है ना? But is Aristotle supporting affirmative action? No. ठीक? So affirmative action, under affirmative action, reservation policies are the part of the affirmative action. So what what guideline judiciary has given? If reservation is going beyond 50%, it becomes reverse discrimination. ठीक है ना? And there needs to be, though the lines are very thin and bleak, but recently we have seen the debate between affirmative action and populist measure, that whether this step of the government comes under the category of affirmative action or it's a populist measure. ठीक है ना? It should not be a populist measure. It should be affirmative action. What is the root cause of revolution according to Aristotle? Feeling of injustice. ठीक है? Even the change in the government or change in the form of political system is also revolution for Aristotle. Yes. So if polity turned to democracy or democracy turned to oligarchy, all comes under the category of revolution. Let's see the questions of Aristotle. So, if you see the papers, what are the themes from Aristotle on which question has been asked? His theory of constitution, slavery, constitution, and his idea of state. His idea of state, his theory of constitution, his theory of slavery. ठीक है? And his criticism of philosopher king. ठीक. So you have prepared the notes for Plato and Aristotle. Upload on the link which I have shared. Okay. Upload your notes on that drive. Notes will be analyzed. You will get the feedback and frame two answers for these questions. First, the fifth question in Plato. Plato's communism is a supplementary machinery to give effect and reinforce that spirit which education is to create. ठीक. Fifth question from Plato. And everywhere inequality is a cause of revolution. Comment. Let's explore theme of Aristotle. So for him, the common cause behind every revolution is the feeling of inequality. This feeling can be real or imaginary. So this feeling will come among the people. For Aristotle, when they feel equals are not treated equally and equals and unequals are treated equally. समझ गए? ठीक है, तो ये दोनों आंसर्स को फ्रेम करो. मैकियावेली, हॉब्स, लॉक प्रिपेयर करो. ठीक है. See the themes on which you have to. ठीक. Machiavelli, Hobbes and Locke. So these are the themes for Plato and Aristotle. Now if you have any doubt on anything from Plato and Aristotle तो बोलो. एक आंसर आपको देना है, evolution of the Western political thought from ancient to the contemporary times. This I'll give to you. ठीक है ना? Let me deliberate more on this. और कुछ बोलो. सर जैसे आपने अभी फिलोसफर किंग को नेपाल से कनेक्ट किया. हाँ. लुकिंग फॉर करंट एलिमेंट्स इन योर मेकिंग शॉर्ट नोट्स फॉर थिंग्स वेरेबल पॉसिबल. जरूरी तो नहीं है. जैसे हम कह सकते हैं, वी कैन सी दैट देयर आर कंट्रीज who do believe in the rule of person than the rule of law. but there the reality of monarchy is tyranny, as it is Iran or be it North Korea. ठीक है, the real form of monarchy is tyranny. Okay.
There's this theory in Aristotle. Everywhere inequality is the cause of revolution. Sir, my doubt is that Aristotle himself has technically justified inequality. So
उसकी हाँ वही his thought of inequality is linked to his theory of justice. So feeling of inequality or feeling of injustice is the cause of revolution. For him, what is injustice? Equals not treated equally and equals unequals are treated unequally. Yes, but his crux is fine that injustice is the root cause of revolution. Inequality is the root cause of revolution. Left-wing extremism is the outcome of what? Disparities and inequalities. But his idea of inequality or his idea of injustice is seen as, his idea of justice is seen as injustice in the present times. तभी तो ये आंसर दिया है, इस पर लिखो, इस पर क्या लिखते हो, ठीक है. So for him, the ruling class needs to be conscious of which aspect? That there should not be the feeling of inequality and injustice. And for him, what will develop this feeling? If equals are not being treated equally, and if equals and unequals are treated equally. But his idea is clearly tilted in favor of whom? Elites. His idea is clearly tilted in favor of elites, and his idea of justice is not acceptable in the present time. So his idea of justice has evolved and changed. ठीक है ना. So for Marx, what is a just society? Classless society. ये तो class division create कर रहे हैं, है ना. Plato is also creating class division on the imaginary idea of element of soul. He is also creating class division based on property. तो फिर तो जितने भी those in the present society who are acquiring so much of land illegally, are they men of reason? उनको हम क्या consider करते हैं? How we see them, those who are acquiring land illegally. हाँ नहीं, अरे उनको हाँ क्रिमिनल्स है ना, ठीक है ना, उनको तो हम क्रिमिनल्स कह रहे हैं ना. और एक वर्ड और होता है ना यूपी में, क्या कहते हैं उसे? लैंड माफिया, है ना. वो तो वो है तो जिसका प्रॉपर्टी ज्यादा, जिसने एक्वायर कर ली बाय हुक और क्रुक, ठीक है ना. इवन लॉक इज सपोर्टर ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी, बट देन ही से प्रॉपर्टी टू बी एक्वायर्ड थ्रू लेबर, बट ही इज आल्सो साइलेंट ऑन द इशू ऑफ इनहेरिटेंस, ठीक है ना. दिस विल डिस्कस इन लॉक, राइट. सो based on imaginary idea, they are dividing the society. So that's why their thoughts is tilted in favor of elites. He himself is? Hmm. He himself has? वो उसके लिए that is, but he is saying nature inequality है. He believes in natural inequality. ये लिखोगे ना, his idea of inequality. Nature is not creating people equal. Nature is creating two types of people, masters and slave. This is his idea of equality. Yes, you can say his idea of क्या क्वेश्चन है, लैंग्वेज पढ़ते हैं. Comment on Aristotle's conception of equality. तो आप क्या कहोगे? He believes in natural inequality. He believes nature is creating two types of people, masters and slaves. This is his idea of. Now, when nature is creating two types of people, masters and slaves, you should not treat masters and slaves equally. And you should treat masters equally and you should treat slaves equally. This is his idea of equality. ऐसे लिखोगे ना, you can't write this answer without writing this, that he believes in natural inequality, school of teleology, school of destiny. Is nature has created all of us as equal? Nature do imparts inequality. So if nature is imparting inequality and we are trying to work towards ensuring equality, we are going against nature. According to many, that we should not go for imposing too much of equality, because nature is not creating equality. So those who believe in natural inequality, their justification is this, that listen to what nature is doing and do not do things against nature. फिर आएगा अभी रॉल्स. रॉल्स क्या कहेगा? फर्स्ट इज लिबर्टी, सेकंड इज इक्वालिटी ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी एंड देन डिफरेंस प्रिंसिपल. ठीक है. सो everyone should have equality of opportunity to acquire political office. ठीक है. So we need to work, and even and after difference principle, whatever inequality we will be left with, we can't do anything beyond that. And that's why socialist leftists will criticize role for the justification of inequalities in the society. Hmm. So he believes this, na, that women are not eligible. They should remain within the four walls of houses. They do not have reason. Aristotle का मानना. So according to Aristotle, they do not have reason. हाँ, obviously he believes this. ठीक है ना, he believes in this. Done. So we'll resume our discussion next week. ठीक है. Machiavelli, Hobbes, Locke. Done.